This is a response, if you will, to Nostalgia Critic's latest episode and his latest part, if you will, in his Raiders as a Storyarc series. Now, Nostalgia Critic Doug Walker, as we all know, at the beginning of this year, at the end of last year, beginning of this year, began what has been known as the Raiders of the Storyarc. Basically looking at the first 4 to 5 episodes of a series and has given his thoughts on it. Well, I want to talk about one that he just recently did, which is possibly one of my favorites shows growing up, and that was Ducktales. Yes, he did X-Men, and I liked it. There's no doubt about it. He did a great job on it. Ninja Turtles, same thing. Sorry about that. But I want to talk about DuckTales here for a moment. See, DuckTales, he was right. The series definitely stands the test of time. There's no doubt about it. If you're new to the series, either through the DVD or torrents or whatever, and you're watching the first episodes, then you get a kick out of it. You know it's good. But there's a lot of other stories out there, story arcs, multi-part stories that he's definitely going to have to look into real soon. I mean, honestly, there's a few other 5-part something stories out of DuckTales that I think would catch his interest. One of the first ones is, I think, the Bubba saga, or the Bubba story arc. And then the other one's the Gizmo Duck story arc, called Super Ducks. So definitely, there's a few more he can look into. Now, first of all, I do want to talk about some things he pointed out during this one. He pointed out the fact that one of the characters he didn't like, and I do agree, as a young boy, this is a character that apparently you wouldn't like, but looking back at it, this character, if you think about it, for some reason, in her own strange way, has garnered a bit of a fan base, if you think about it, and that's Webby or Webigail. See, for some reason, she's garnered her own little fan base from that time, and everybody was always wondering why she was in the intro for Raw Tunage, yet she was never used. It was due to the fact that Webigail, or Webby, was one of Disney's most popular young characters at the time. She was basically very popular, not on the same level as a Gadget, not on the same level as a Goslin, but she was there. She was very, very popular. And again, like I said, to this day, she's got her own little fan base. Now, one of the jokes that he mentioned during this episode was that he kind of did a little joke, a little comedic part where he said he would never like girls for, no girls allowed, only boys, blah, blah, blah. And he says he's never going to like girls till the day he died. And then all of a sudden, when he says, I'm never going to like girls till the day I die, all of a sudden a big picture of breasts come up, in a swimsuit, of course. And he's like, shit. Boobies ruin everything. It's true. And I laughed at that part, and I kept watching that part over and over because it's true. You think, as a young boy, at first you think, I'm never going to like this girl, I'm not going to blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you see this same girl years later, and you're like, holy moly. In some cases. Not all cases, but in some. But, anyway, I was thinking about that, and I thought to myself, I'm surprised that he didn't talk about the episode Duck to the Future, or Beak to the Future, or whatever it's called. Because if he would have talked about Beak or Duck to whatever it's called, Beak to the Future, Duck to the Future, whatever it's called, he would have seen an older Webigail there. And then, if he would have saw that episode where Scrooge goes to the future, and sees an older Webigail, I wonder what he would have said then. Honestly, I really want to know what he would have said then. But yeah, I'll give Doug a lot of credit for doing this, because a lot of people were hoping he was going to do something on Disney Afternoon related, besides just doing that review on the Gargoyles years ago. And this was definitely a good step in that direction. But like I said, there's more than just looking at the first 5 episodes. There's 2 other five-parters in DuckTales, with the Bubba Saga and the Super Duck Saga, that he has to look at, and I think he should do a Raiders of the Storyarc on in the near future. But again, he did a great job, and I liked how he pointed out certain things that he just didn't like about it, and as a young boy, and I can, any guy my age or his age can relate to that now, because let's say, for example, going back to the debut, to the second episode with Webby and Beakley in there, and basically Webby and Beakley, almost like not even halfway through the episode, he says it goes totally the episode, the 4th part in it, I believe, goes totally girl show at that time. And he makes a joke out of it, saying, "Great, we have the Get Along Gang, Rainbow Bright, and My Little Penguin. Something better blow up soon." Well, let me kind of argue on that a little bit, Doug. Doug, I know you probably watch these videos. Let me argue on that a bit. You see, you have to realize this. If you're going to attract a young female audience to a show like DuckTales, you sometimes have to dedicate an episode, especially if it's an episode that's part of the Storyarc pilot or the miniseries pilot or the movie pilot, which in this case is called Treasure of the Golden Suns. If you're going to introduce a female audience, a young girl audience to the show, then you got to dedicate an episode, possibly not just throughout your series with several episodes, but also dedicate at least one episode in your miniseries pilot or movie pilot to the new female characters in the show. That way young girls and young females can be attracted to it and say, okay, this is a pretty good show. I know, again, I agree, as a young boy, you don't like that. Heck, I probably didn't like it, and I don't remember that well. I probably didn't like it, but again, I don't remember. But like I said, it's it's basically what they had to do. And a lot of series have done this, not just Disney and Disney Afternoon related. There've been a lot of series that have done this. A lot have gone in this direction. Ninja Turtles, believe it or not, Ninja Turtles has done this. Anytime they would, like when they mutated April into a Catwoman in the episode The Catwoman from Channel 6. When they turned her into a fish woman. When they made Irma grow giant size. When they introduced Mona Lisa. These were all due to the fact that they wanted to attract in the female audience. Female audience even more so. That's what they wanted to do. And that's what they did. It wasn't because they were turning it totally girl show and all that. They wanted to attract the female audience. Heck, even when they introduced the neutrinos, they had that female character in there that kind of seemed to have like a connection with Michelangelo. It's all part about attracting the female audience. You take a look at, let's say, the Ninja Turtle comic books by Archie Comics. They introduce Yumiko, Ninjara, attract the female audience. That's why they do it. And that's why they dedicated part 4 called Cold Duck, Treasure of the Golden Suns Part 4, a.k.a. Cold Duck, This is why they dedicated it, or part of it, to being, as you called it, Doug, mostly girl showed, because they want to attract in the female audience. They did it when they made Webby grow to giant size. They did it when they had Webby get kidnapped or get taken and kidnapped by the Beagle Boys' sisters or cousins, whatever you want to call them. The Beagle Girls, or whatever they're called. Or the Beagle Babes, I don't know. You know, things like that. All that is due to the fact that they have to attract in the female audience. I mean, okay, let me give you an even better example. Gem. Gem is mostly seen as a girl show, right? But even boys like it, even young men like it, and here's why. Because there are some things in there that attract young men to it. It's not just sometimes the action and the adventure. It's sometimes you got, well, it is the action and the adventure, but there's some things in there that attract the young boy and young male audience. You know, it's the same way with Ducktales when they did what they did. But anyway, I'm getting a little carried away here. I'm just pointing out the fact that joke-wise or not, you have to understand, Doug, part of your skit or not, you have to understand they did this to attract a female audience. But overall, I will say this about your review. You did a great job on your Raiders of the Storyarc review on it. There's 2 more DuckTales story arcs, like I said, the Bubble one and the Gizmo Duck one that you have to probably do and look at. But if you want to continue looking at the pilot, miniseries pilots, or the story arc pilots that began a Disney series, a Disney Afternoon-related series, I've got 2 that you can definitely look into. One being Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers to the Rescue, and Tailspin Plunder and Lightning. Now, the reason I talk about those 2 is because To the Rescue is definitely a good one. You could definitely check that out. You'd have a lot to talk about with that in the Raiders of the Story Arc deal. But Tailspin's Plunder and Lightning, that one, Doug, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people here on YouTube would agree, but that one, Doug, would definitely be something you could definitely have a lot of fun with. Because when you watch it, you'll be saying to yourself, well, this doesn't seem like what I used to remember. Because believe it or not, Doug, there's a lot of things cut out of the miniseries version from the movie version. So, again, that would be something you definitely want to look at, those 2 right there. So, but overall, I'm going to give you a review, your Raiders of the Story Arc review on DuckTales. Definitely a 10 out of 10. You did a great job. You did a great interpretation or impression of El Capitan, and all that. You did a great job there. So, I mean, I just, overall, Doug, your reviews, Raiders of the Story Arc, or just your regular nostalgic reviews, or your countdowns are just great and everything. I'm not discrediting anybody else that works at your site, but, you do a great job. And again, I'm giving you some examples for what to use in the near future if you do watch videos here on YouTube. So definitely think about doing the Raiders of the Story Arc for the 2 other DuckTales major story arcs, the Bubba and the Gizmo Duck, as well as think about doing To the Rescue from Rescue Rangers, as well as Plunder and Lightning from Tailspin, because that one, Plunder and Lightning, I think you'll have a lot of fun with. So, again, I'm giving you a 10 out of 10 on your review. Definitely something for a lot of people to watch if they want to get introduced to you. And that's all I'm going to say. And I hope you have a good day. Bye.